my God! Call the cops! I just freed myself from a madman's subterranean prison. He's been holding me captive, which is why I'm a little late opening the video store. I can describe the dank cage for police artists. There were walls, there were doors. I can't relive it. Don't make me. I'm begging you. What are you doing here?
It seems someone told the boss I needed to work more hours for college credits.
Was it me?
I didn't say it was.
Well, that's good because All right, it was me.
Very smooth.
Anywhere in public right now, if you have anything at all, is like, yeah, vampire, kill it.
I like to say, wow, that international flight made me tired, and then cough really loud, and people don't think it's funny.
No one has a sense of humor at all about it, which I get. It's totally understandable, but it does kind of hamper most of my interactions.
Yeah, I can only deal with any kind of emotion through humor, so it makes it hard for me to talk to people.
It's some rough days, but we're making it through, and I'm just going to use all of that as the intro to our show here. Hi, welcome to Formerly Venture Bros.
Didn't even realize you were recording.
Yeah, I snuck that in there. So welcome to Formerly Venture Bros. We were for a while, and then we ran out of episodes, and then we were going to record a wonderful send-off episode, and then that didn't happen either, and that's because of the world got a cold, and quite a nasty one at that. It's a little scary. We're all quarantined in California. I'm not sure how the other two of you are doing.
Illinois is also on the same rules as California, I believe, at the moment.
Fun.
Well,
yeah.
In the UK, all pubs and restaurants and public things like gyms and all that lot have been forced to close. Yeah, weird times.
Yeah.
That's why I'm 30 pounds overweight now.
I'm working on it. I'm adding a pound a day. That's the goal. So as I was kind of depressed about all this and thinking about the episodes we couldn't record and Matt couldn't come out to visit anymore, I'm like, what am I going to do with all of this meh attitude? And I'm like, I'm going to watch cartoons. And then we had no episodes for Venture Bros. And I'm like, why not make a show out of it? And we're going to call it Corona Cartoons. And these are going to be the cartoons we're watching while we're all locked inside our houses for our own good. And that seemed like a lot of fun, so I'm going to keep this kind of like a rotating. We have Brock and Matt on. If you recognize their voices, Brock was on an episode or two of Venture Bros, and Matt was on more than I can count. And we're just going to talk about some cartoons that we watched, and that sounds like a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
Corona. Sorry.
I just figured it was a good way to try to lighten the mood a little bit, watch something silly, have some fun with some friends, and just enjoy some cartoons. So we're gonna start the thing out with it was actually a shame. Chewy was supposed to be on this week and it just didn't work out. But she and I were joking, and then we both accidentally referenced this show, and I'm like, I haven't even thought about that show in years. So we decided we're gonna watch it, and then we were talking about this show that we're recording right now, and then it all turned into let's just record 2 episodes on the entirety of the Clerks animated show, and that was a lot of fun to watch them. What did you guys think?
I enjoyed rewatching it, to be fair.
I had mixed feelings about it. I laughed a lot, but also there was some moments where I'm like, oh, that didn't age well. So it was a weird mixture of this is really brilliant and oh, you can't really say that now.
Yeah, there was a lot of laughter with ooh at the end of it.
It's a lot of
should I be laughing at this?
Throughout. A lot of cringing in that courtroom episode that we'll talk about next week. But just in general, just a lot of ha ha, oh no, I'm not laughing now.
It's kind of I'm a bad person.
It's kind of like one of those time capsule things where I could see me laughing at this then, and even thinking of that joke in 2001, right, when this was written.
Yeah, 2001, 2002. It's right out of the 90s.
Yeah, so a lot of that humor is oh, I kind of remember that joke being made, and it just kind of, I don't know, it was a weird feeling for me.
Yeah, it was a little uncomfortable at times, but I I kind of enjoyed it for that. Like, it was kind of a fun look back at like who I used to be. Kind of makes you feel a little better about who you are now, right? Hopefully. Maybe a little bit.
I mean, I have not really changed much, to be fair.
You know, I'm not surprised by that.
There was a little bit of ooh.
So the way we're gonna do this is we're just talk about the first 3 episodes and then the back 3 episodes, and I think it's kind of interesting, and maybe you guys will agree that the show kind of, if you split it down the middle like we're going to, the front half and the back half are very different. Like the front half feels more like grounded in reality sort of thing, and the back half was where they started just going, fuck it.
Yeah, I feel like there was sprinkles of that in the first half though, where they wanted to go, but they wanted to sell the show, or something like that, and then they just kind of did what they wanted to when they probably figured it was not going to be around much longer.
Yeah, like it's well, I'm always kind of curious about if they knew it wasn't going to be around very long, because they only aired 2 episodes, and I thought it was just the first 2, but nope, it was episode 4 and then episode 2, which could not have been a worse plan.
Yep. Did it? Why?
Yeah, it's so weird. It's just so bizarre. Is that like decision? Like, you know, we're gonna air these episodes. Should we start with episode 1? Nah.
I mean,
let's start
to
with
be
episode
fair,
4.
To be fair, episode 1 is the weakest of the bunch, but you kind of need it.
Yep.
Like
First
it
episodes
sets-
aren't supposed to be your best. They're just supposed to kind of set your groundwork or your foundation.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the pilot episode of Star Trek Next Generation.
or like Venture Brothers.
Yeah.
Like Secrets of Turtle Bay is the weakest of the whole bunch, but I still enjoy watching it.
It's just weird. It's a weird decision though. It's like with Fox and Firefly, just going back to other shows, they had like this 2-hour opening which they didn't show, which set up everything, like set up the entire series, set up all the characters, and then they're basically like, nah, you have to rewrite a new kind of semi-pilot thing because we don't think that that's a good episode to start with. So just like, and then when we're gonna air all your show out of order anyway, and then randomly show the pilot at the end of it when we've cancelled it. It's such a weird thing of like, the people who create it know the story, just air it in the order that they decided the story is told in. I'd never understand that when they're like, nah,
No.
we know better. We're gonna air them in this order.
It makes no sense, especially like when you get to shows, say like Star Trek or like this one, where like, so just kind of moving into the episodes themselves. Like the first one, it does kind of set the tone for like, yeah, this is based on that movie that you saw, but it is very much not that movie that you saw. And it has a couple jokes in it that somehow repeat throughout the entire series, and I think it's kind of important to keep at the front, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, why are we walking like this? And it's just that repeating
so good.
joke.
It's still funny.
And
I don't
it's
know
like-
how.
Every time I'm like, where does that potted plant come from? Because when the camera pulls back, they're like, there's nothing above them.
Nope. And it happens again later on in the series. Same problem.
Yeah.
Let's just actually kind of do a breakdown of each episode really quick. I think that's going to make it a little bit easier when my voice cracks out of its mind. So the 3 episodes that we are talking about are Leonardo returns, and Dante has an important decision to make. It's one title. The titles are long, guys.
It's very
hang
Kevin
in there.
Smithy, for sure.
Episode 2 is the clip show wherein Dante and Randall are locked in a freezer and remember some of the great moments in their lives. And then episode 3, Leonardo is caught in the grip of an outbreak of Randall's imagination, and Patrick Swayze either does or doesn't work in a new pet store.
That one felt a little bit weird considering our current circumstances.
Yeah, that one was a little bit of a rough watch. Although, is the main reason why we watched this whole thing, because Chewie watched Outbreak, which led into these jokes, and I'm just now piecing all of that together. So who wants to do the first episode?
I could give it a shot.
Well, I'll take a stab at each one. So I'll go Brock, me, then Matt, you'll do the third one. I'm imagining that's where you were still somewhat awake.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, go ahead, Brock.
Leonardo, man, I cannot say that, returns and opens the Quicker Stop right across the street from the Quick Stop, which takes away all of Dante and Randall's customers and nearly puts the Quick Stop out of business. The duo sets up to stop Leonardo by uncovering his plot to enslave all of humanity, which is where the wonderful "Why are we walking this way?" joke comes from. That is used in I think every episode, by the way. And then they are scoffed at their appearance at the town hall. Jay and Silent Bob, who have been selling illegal fireworks to children, inadvertently blow up the Quicker Stop, thwarting Leonardo's plans.
I kind of always forget about the fireworks part, and it's kind of a major part.
Yeah.
All right, so my episode, which would be the second one, as the title said, Dante and Randall get locked in a freezer after the store got robbed or didn't robbed. They didn't really make that clear. The cops showed up, the store was a mess, but Dante said this is how we left it, and then later said that they also got robbed. So I guess I got robbed. But anyhow, so they install a new handle on a freezer and they get themselves locked in the freezer. They remember the majority of the episode that Brock just described. Then they leave and get themselves locked in another place and remember some other stuff. And then they leave and they go get locked in another place. And it's just kind of that over and over and over. But it's rather funny while they're doing it.
So I've got number 3. The Quick Stop is basically put into quarantine because Randall gets like a crazy idea because there's a monkey in a pet shop down the street that all of a sudden the film outbreak is happening, and the town of Leonardo is going to be destroyed unless they manage to stop the helicopter.
Unless they stop the bomber,
yeah.
Which Dante says he's gay to stop the bomber.
Yeah,
and everything's fine.
Thank you, Brian.
No problem. So what do you guys think? Out of these 3, which one do you think is the strongest?
For me, it's 2.
I don't
like.
Yeah, I was gonna say either 2 or 3.
I love the idea of a clip show for your second episode. Like, that was fucking awesome. As soon as they started that, I'm like, okay, this is great. And they just kept doing the "Why are we walking this way?" joke over and over again, and it got me every time.
That episode, like, the fact that one was aired without the first one is just like, how the fuck? Because the whole reason the episode is funny is that it's the second episode and it's a clip show. Like, that's insane.
Yeah. It's just like if you were just to air that as like the second episode without the first episode, though, I just like all the jokes are just lost on you because it's like, well, we're just seeing these scenes that we've never seen before, but the whole point of it was, it's the clip show of the first episode that you've literally just watched.
But here's where I'll just differ a little bit. As much as I agree with you, but I think the concept of that episode is actually funnier than the episode, but I think the third one gets me the most.
For me, it was between the second and the third.
Like, the third one, it has James Woods in it, who I think is, he's a horrid human being, but he's very funny in this episode.
This was before he was a horrid human being, or that we knew that he was a horrid human being.
Before we knew.
Yeah.
But this also has, like, the gag that I always remember whenever I go to get fast food now, with the last thing they ever want to do in the world is go and get drive-thru, and it's 2 cheeseburgers without ketchup, and they keep putting the fucking ketchup on. And just the white hot rage I would feel if I went and complained for a third time, and they're like, "Why don't you just wipe it off?" I'd be like, "I'm gonna burn this mother down."
That's clearly based on something that actually happened as well.
Just imagining Kevin Smith just like, "You motherfuckers, you motherfuckers."
Do people not like ketchup on burgers? Is that a thing? I thought everyone wanted ketchup on a burger.
I always do.
I guess
not always.
I took the wrong lesson from that. I guess I was like, why don't they want ketchup? Like, it seems like an important part. Like my weird kids who just want cheese on their burgers. I'm like, what? Come on, you gotta have other stuff.
They only want cheese?
Get mayonnaise.
They will not eat anything else but cheese. Like, pretty much.
Wait, so the sandwich is just bread, cheese, meat, bread.
Yep.
That sounds dry as fuck.
That sounds awful.
Yep.
Judging your kids real hard right now.
I judge them too. I tell them they're wrong. They're free to make their own decisions,
what
but
we
they
were
have to
talking
know
about.
sometimes when they make stupid decisions.
That one's pretty rough. Jesus. Oh, the third episode also has one of my favorite jokes in the entire fucking thing with the Leonardo's right-hand man. I'm forgetting his name right now. The whole robot thing.
Oh, God.
That was good. I like that too.
Like, that always made me just crack the fuck up. Like see, he just said robot. No, that's just an expression, a robot expression.
That was well done.
Yeah, I think that's why I like that one. But the problem with the third one is it also has the whole outing joke, which is just played so hard, and it's like this was borderline offensive in 2001. Now, ooh.
Can I ask a question about that though?
Sure.
Like, it takes a little context. So I listened to Kevin Smith's podcast, Smodcast, and they talked about in an episode where in movies and television for a while, like, it was the big awful thing that you were secretly gay. Like, being gay was like oh no, I don't want people to think I'm gay. I didn't know if this was like their attempt to be like, it shouldn't be a big deal, like kind of subverting it in a way. But it just came off offensive? Or do you think it was just a joke they played that they really shouldn't have played?
I mean, I like to believe the first answer, and I hope that's the right one, but I have a feeling it's more the second one.
Yeah.
But there's a good argument there, and I mean, it's very possible. I don't think Kevin Smith was, maliciously trying to attack people. I just think it's more like he thought these jokes were funny. I mean, he always did. They're in all of his movies.
Yeah, and it was really uncomfortable. Even having that knowledge, it still was not like an enjoyable ending to the episode for me.
Yeah. And it's just like we mentioned it in the beginning, how there's a few of these moments throughout where it's just like, ooh, not sure about that one.
I mean, there's one in
more
particular.
so-
I can't remember which episode it's in, but it's
Is it
the
in one of the first three?
Flintstones list. I can't remember if it
Yeah,
was
that's
one.
the second one.
It's the
Okay, I
second
laughed
one.
at that though.
I did laugh, but I laughed at it, but immediately it was like, ooh, should I be laughing at this?
To be honest, I felt that way in 2001. Like, the first time I saw this one, I laughed. I'm like, ooh, that one feels rough. But it was still kind of funny. So I'm not sure if that one just stayed the same for me. Like, it was offensive then, it's offensive now, but it was kind of funny both times.
The one that made me feel the most cringe, I guess, was the cigarette being also called the I don't even feel comfortable saying the word, so I'm not going to. But it being called the F word, it was like, oh, that guy's calling me up, I'm getting mad about it. Like, that joke was the one that made me feel the most like, oh, like, this did, like, let's just move on past this. Let's not have this joke, please.
The funny thing is like, just think about the times now. This played on ABC. Like, could you
Yeah.
imagine ABC having that joke on TV today?
Is that
quite
why it was
interesting.
only 2 episodes, though? Because this joke played on ABC?
I mean, I think that definitely had something to do with it. Like, the Disney people, this? No.
It's quite interesting though, because it is literally like, so for me, being British, literally like, I won't say it, but the word that you're referring to is a very well-known term for a cigarette. Like, you'll hear it in offices all the time. People are like, oh, do you want to go out and grab a? Because it means more. It's more means cigarette than a pejorative. I can't say that word. It's too early in the morning for me to say that word. For a negative term for a homosexual.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, for me, it's just like, it's funny that, like, for me it was like, it's funny because of that cultural difference between,
Right.
We both speak English, but in America and England, words have different meanings.
I wonder if that is how they got the joke to even play. Because even ABC, like, that's still a rough joke in 2001. So I wonder if it was just that whole, like, well, you know, it's a joke because of they're not saying a bad word there is the only way they got by the censors. Because it just kind of feels like, yeah, I don't know.
Can I also
Give
say
myself-
about the first episode? I don't know. I with the quarantine situation going on, like I have 3 kids running around the house. It's kind of crazy, but I didn't get the town hall part of it. What happened and like why it was bad or good, and then everything blew up at the end. What was the town hall? Was that a reference to a movie? Was I missing something on that?
I'm not sure if it was a movie specifically, but it's just kind of like that whole, like, oh, we're going to out him at the town hall. Like, feels very cinematic. And then he's already there and outs himself. And everyone's just like, crumbs, crumbs, crumbs. Like, they're just cool with it. So he's like, oh, and then they just keep going like, no, but it's bad, but it's bad, but it's bad. And it just never convinces them into the last guy who doesn't even fucking live there.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Like step
And
was
it's
it
like-
26 or something to get to.
Yeah. And I fucking loved it. I love that bit so much. I just love the robot chickens. Like, it's just fantastic.
Did this feel like as I'm watching this, it was real. I could see in each episode, like parts that made it a potentially really great show, like Venture Brothers season 1-esque, where like you have those moments where like okay, I see the potential here, and since it was on ABC and it was 22 minutes as opposed to 11 minutes or even like the Adult Swim breakup. And I don't remember I don't think Adult Swim was around really, or like it was then at this time. It felt like a show that would have lasted so much longer and been a lot funnier in an Adult Swim format with like time in terms of episode length and time in terms of when it was played. I don't know if that was just me or not.
No, I totally agree. I don't think I'd fuck with the episode length though, because I think he really makes the 22-minute thing work, and I think that's just because he's of the generation who grew up on TV, so he knows how to write TV. But otherwise, like just the sense of humor, the style of it, everything. Yeah, if this had been like on the same night as Venture Brothers, like a lead into Venture Brothers or a follow up to Venture Brothers, people would have watched it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does have that sort of mentality of those kind of shows that are on like Adult Swim and things like that. You know, slightly off the. I suppose you would say the traditional network shows.
Right.
Which it's that sort of, you know, it reminds me a little bit of, you know, Venture Brothers and, you know, things like that. Arch a little bit. Frisky Dingo, those kind of shows are a little bit odd, and you know they've got, you know, pushing the boundaries of what's, you know, considered acceptable humor. And I say that with air quotes and stuff like that, but and it probably would have lasted longer if Adult Swim had been around, if it was on Adult Swim.
But even if they did like MTV would have done better.
Yeah.
Right. Because MTV
Like,
around that time had like Clone High and 3 South,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, like they had stuff sort of like this. It would have fit right in, and it would have done better on MTV. Like that was more the crowd who was into it.
Maybe even Comedy
There's-
Central as well, because you know at the time Comedy
Yeah.
Central had South Park.
Yeah,
That's
like
true.
any of those would have done very well. But it's kind of unfortunate. But at the same time, I'm not sure if any of those other channels would have given it the same budget that ABC did. And it has voice talent in almost every episode, like very good voice talent. The animation is like it's unique, it's fun, it's got like I love the style of it. It definitely adds to the humor. Like they definitely put their weight behind it, and then immediately went, oh fuck that, never mind, and took their money back.
Isn't Alec Baldwin the voice of Leonardo too? Like,
Yeah, it's so good. Like as soon as he started speaking, I was thinking, I recognize that voice, and then like within like a minute, I was like, it's Alec Baldwin. And,
And,
he's-
And then, are you guys fans of the animated Ninja Turtle series, the one that had Seth Green and Jason Biggs and those people in it?
Yes, that was so fucking good. That show
Yeah,
is not
such
get
a
talked
great
about
show,
enough.
right?
It was so
The guy
good. Sorry.
The guy who does the intros to every episode of Clerks here voiced Shredder on that.
Oh fuck, that's awesome. I love that show, by the way. I know this isn't that show, but that version of Ninja Turtles is probably my favorite.
It's the most recent comic book run is my favorite rendition of them, followed by that show.
In terms of a visual or animated, then I guess.
Oh, animated, that's the best.
Yeah.
Easily the best. Such a good show. Maybe we'll talk about that in one of these episodes.
I don't think I've actually seen that version of it.
Quarantined.
It's on Hulu if you want to see it.
We do not have Hulu.
Oh. Are we sponsored by NordVPN? Because I could.
We could try get sponsorship.
If you want to see it,
I'm sure I can find it on internet.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit. Let's just go kind of through each episode here and just say what was our favorite moments. Like, we've been kind of mean to this thing a little bit more than I intended, and I really did enjoy each one of these. So let's kind of go through them a little bit. So the first episode, beyond just Alec Baldwin just being fucking Alec Baldwin, what did you guys like about this one?
I mean, why are we walking like this? The first time that happens with the pot just landing, then the camera pulls out and there's nothing above for where that pot could have fallen from, and it's just they're walking across the bottom of the L shaped thing, and then immediately cuts to them actually pulling themselves up, being like, "Oh my god, this is so much harder."
When he's trying to put together the desk from IKEA, and it's completely fucked
I'd
up,
forgotten that.
And he's like, "How do you like my desk? It's a door desk." I couldn't stop laughing at that. I don't know if it's because I'm a dad who, can't build shit, and when my kids are like, "Oh, what are you building?" I'm like, "It's correct. Don't judge me." That joke just really hit home for me.
I'd forgotten about that. That is so good as well. Where he goes, "I've even got these bits left behind. Look how awesome I am."
It's like when I'd help my kids with Legos. What are these pieces for? Don't ask!
God, I think if I had to pick a favorite moment of this that wasn't the desk moment, because that was definitely going to be mine.
Sorry.
No, it's a great moment. I have to go with just the opening with the "Is it safe?"
Oh god, yeah.
Is it safe? It's such a random cold open for this show, and it just calling back to what the fuck is the name of the movie?
Marathon Man.
Marathon Man, thank you, Jesus Christ. But just referencing that movie felt very in line with the original movie, and I liked that, because it was kind of a soft entrance into this show of, it feels like a reference that they would have made in that movie, and look at how ridiculous this is as the guy runs away, crashes his car catches on fire, he runs away, he catches on fire.
Well,
I just think it's a really funny moment, and it's a great intro into the style of this show.
What I love about that is the callback later on in the episode as well. It's safe. It's really safe. And then the M80 just lands in front of him. And it just cut away, just had a in the background.
So the perfect Snoogans. So good. Let's move on to the second one.
Well, Paul Dini wrote on this, which is great. Which, from, animated Batman and Tiny Toons and all that. One of my favorite creators of all time.
Cool.
Trying to think. The constant callback to clips from the very first episode made me laugh every time. I was wondering when they brought it in, this is a clip show. I'm like, it's the second episode. I know we talked about this earlier, but the fact that they just kept playing clips or making up clips that weren't from the show made me laugh every time. It was great.
Yeah, Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, it's such a great concept of having your second episode be a clip show, and just playing with that sort of thing of oh yeah, it's a clip show, and then saying, oh well, remember that time? It's like that was the same thing as well. And it's literally because I just love that whole thing of, we can only remember the moments of our lives from last week.
I love it when they start referencing the same episode. When Jay and Silent Bob are in the freezer. Oh, this one time? It's 30 seconds before where they just are right there.
It was really good. And also the locking Jay and Silent Bob locking themselves in and them trying to stop the door from shutting has a very like when your kids lock you out of the house moment. Like, oh no, don't let the door shut, and then the door's locked behind them and you left something inside. Oh, parenting things.
Like your keys.
That hey, Brock, has that happened to you?
Yes. or they've locked me out of the car and then they laugh because Daddy can't get in the car. I think my kids might try to like be torturing me.
I feel like it's happened like twice today.
Yeah, well, we've been on quarantine for like 5 days. They're probably sick of me by now, so they're just trying to lock me out.
Bye, Dad. Quit
The
making
corona
us watch
takes
the
him
Clerks
now.
Cartoon show. Tired of Venture Brothers.
Oh,
Don't
they
you
give...
say that. You wash your mouth out with soap.
Oh man, no, that would not be okay. That would not tolerate. They would go to timeout if they said that.
Other thing I like in this episode is I love they get stuck in the video store, and the whole time they're sitting there, it never even dawned on me, the viewer, to go, why don't you just call someone?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Never even crossed my mind until they're in the rink later after their hockey game, and he's like, oh yeah, we didn't even think about it till later. There's a phone in there. It's like, oh yeah.
I just love at
I
the
like
end
that
as well.
they're
Like,
gonna get stuck. Yeah, they're gonna get stuck in the hockey ring.
it's like, just hop over the thing. The first thing I thought was like, just hop over. It's like 3 feet.
It's almost kind of like maddening as you watch it. Like you're kind of yelling at the screen a little bit. Like, just jump.
That episode did the great job of like beating a joke in so many times it's funny again.
Yeah.
They played that masterfully.
Oh yeah, and then so much so that when it comes back again later in the series, you're like, "Fuck this again," and it's still funny. We'll talk about that next week because that's when that comes up again.
Gotcha.
Let's move on to the third one, the one that's a little too cleose to home these days.
Yep.
I still think it's funny.
I like the legal, for legal reasons we can't show Dustin Hoffman, so it will be replaced by Al Pacino. I just love that. And then
I love the way the narrator says it, like in this Al Pacino.
Yeah. I was just gonna say I love the way it's overdubbed with like Al Pacino.
So I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna tell a quick story that leads to my favorite part of this episode. So Jay and Silent Bob want to steal the monkey so they can teach it to smoke. My great grandpa, in the early 1900s, had money and bought a lot of weird exotic animals because apparently you could do that back then. Like that shit wasn't really on lockdown. And he had bought a monkey, and after he had died, my grandma was showing me all these pictures, and they had a monkey at one point. And she said it was the meanest thing in the world. They had to keep it in the basement because it would throw things at her, and it smoked cigarettes. So apparently that's a thing monkeys can do. And I thought that was amazing that actually was a real thing. And that was why that was my favorite part of this episode, is them trying to teach the monkey to smoke.
But did the monkey in your family blow smoke rings?
Probably not. She said it was a real bastard.
Well, then, as cool as that story was, and it was very cool, it could have been a little cooler.
Fair enough. I'm sorry.
No, that's actually kind of fucking awesome that you have a family that had a grumpy fucking smoking monkey in there.
Yes. And they also had a zebra at one point because he liked horses. Because I guess back then, again, you could do that shit.
Sorry, wait. He had a zebra because he liked horses.
I mean, they're like a horse, right?
Wouldn't one get a horse?
Yeah,
if they
I was
liked
just thinking
horses?
that.
Oh, I believe he had horses. And a zebra was like the next logical step in horse owning. I don't know why he did the things he did. They were white in the early 1900s and had money. I don't know.
Sorry, that zebra horse one, that one got me. I'm okay.
A different episode, I'll tell you about
Clerks.
the elephant.
You
No
don't
one
have
owned
to.
an
I'm
elephant.
good with
It
the
just
zebra
came
horse
through
thing.
time.
Oh God. Okay. So,
Sorry, I got you off
I
track.
don't remember where the hell we were in that. Oh, so here's actually something I wanted to bring up with this episode. Kevin Smith clearly had a thing for Jay and Silent Bob with a monkey. it comes up a lot.
Yes.
Like, it was in Mallrats. It's in this. It's in, obviously, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. It's the main crux of the movie. Like, he clearly wanted those two to have a monkey.
I mean, isn't it awesome?
I have no problem with it. I think it's great. And I love that he actually pulled it off a number of times. But I just think it's kind of funny that he's like, these two need a monkey.
Do you think it's one of those weird things that kind of gets beat into your subconscious? Because I feel like in the 90s, there was every kind of sports movie that had a monkey in it for some reason. Because I'm like 99% sure I remember seeing a baseball, like Little League movie where the monkey was the hero and played with the team for some reason.
Yeah, it's MVP, Most Valuable Primate. I think it's the sequel.
Is that a real... That's what it's called?
That's definitely the basketball one, I think.
Oh, okay. There's definitely one.
There's definitely a
monkey.
movie. There's definitely one called MVP.
All right, I'm googling this while
also...
you guys.
Oh no, I'm already all over it. We got Most Valuable Primate. He was a hockey player.
Oh, okay.
He was an extreme skateboarder. And it looks like a skier. Nope, snowboarder.
It was Ed with Matt LeBlanc. That's how you say his name, from Friends. He had a monkey that played baseball.
That's it.
He was a talented pitcher.
Wow, monkeys played a lot of sports.
I know. It shows why people in Friends shouldn't do other things also.
Well, yeah. Oof. Anyhow,
David Schwimmer was ruined
so I
Band
think
of
my
Brothers.
favorite moment of the episode had to be... There's actually like three that I really like. And I'm trying to think... No, fuck it. It's just going to be Gilbert Gottfried as Patrick Swayze. Like, that's got to be the best thing.
I didn't realize that was him, and I should have. But yeah, I love that it was clearly not Patrick Swayze. That made me happy.
Oh, yeah. Like, the whole time, like, they keep doing this, you know, we have celebrities on and we do their voices poorly thing. But most of the celebrities did their own voices. Like, Charles Barkley is Charles Barkley. Gwyneth Paltrow was Gwyneth Paltrow.
The Charles Barkley recurring bit made me laugh every time.
Every fucking time. Especially the final Science Says, where they just show up to basically kill Charles Barkley.
And they don't address it. They just drive off. I was like, oh, there's going to be like a line here. They just leave.
This is our Science Says segment. Just fuck off.
It's so good.
That's why I keep showing up. That's what I'm here for.
The one bit.
Matt, did you have a favorite moment from this episode?
I went.
Oh, you did? Which one was yours?
The Dustin Hoffman Al Pacino thing.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah. It was after the trip down the memory lane where I got lost.
Yeah, it was
Sorry,
a
guys.
while ago. It was like
Yeah.
an hour ago. So
Yeah.
I will forgive you.
Yeah. I think I've said pretty much everything I can say about the first 3 episodes. What do you guys think?
Like I said, I think there was so much potential there, and like you were talking about how you kept trying to get back on the Kevin Smith train, that it didn't have that same voice, it didn't have that same feel. This show did have his feel, for lack of a better phrase, and I think that's why, I kept watching each episode. I felt that, and it felt nice. It reminded me of a simpler, happier time.
Yeah. Matt, any closing thoughts on this before we do some plugs and say goodbye?
I mean, I enjoyed watching it again. Because like until you mentioned it, I thought I hadn't thought of it. This the series in years. And then it was like, oh yeah, I really enjoyed watching that. And there was a few jokes where I was like, ooh, but in general, I still really enjoyed the episodes, and it was nice having it. It's almost like a bit of a nostalgia thing of like, because when I first watched them, there was about 2007ish, because I was at university at the time, and I remember like finding them. I mean, I think I joined the Kevin Smith train a little bit later in life, because I came to like Clerks and things, and Mallrats and those sort of films a little bit later than a lot than you guys, I think. But I really it was quite a nice nostalgia trip, I suppose, for me, watching these, like taking me back to a simpler time when the world was not as quite as insane as it is right now.
Yeah, I would agree with everything you guys have said. I really enjoyed watching this. It was a fun trip back to like, oh, I remember when this was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because it's still very funny. It still has I'm looking at the IMDb now with the totally forgot to mention the McDonald's costumes during the Contagion
God,
episode.
yeah.
Oh, that was so good.
With the fucking best line of the entire show that I'd forgotten of, will the virus kill the Grimace? Nothing can kill the Grimace.
When will the Hamburglar be brought to justice? That was good too.
Still great. But I quoted Nothing Can Kill the Grimace for a long fucking time because of this show. Because this show was funny and nobody watched it. It's kind of sad. But going back and watching it now, I'm like, yeah, this thing deserved a much better shot. And I think next week's episode on the back half of this is going to more so prove why this show should have stuck around. Because it only got bigger and funnier from here. And it might have crossed a few more barriers that we didn't like, but it was still overall, I think, fantastic in the back half.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever
So,
crossed a barrier with ill intent either. I think it was more just missteps.
Nope. No, and I don't think that it really... I don't want to say that. So I'm just not going to. Well done, me. Anyhow, let's move on to plugs, and then we can say goodbye. I will plug, we are still doing a normal schedule for Behind the Hype. We are able to make it work, so we didn't have to take any downtime, kind of like how we did here and some other shows might. So every Thursday, new episodes. We're just about done with Dee Dee Allen month, and then we are starting up. Let's see, this episode comes out on Monday, which means the final episode would be Thursday. I can say next week who we are covering in the month of March. Or April. I know what month it is. Yeah, that's it for me. Matt?
So I am still writing articles. They have not gone up this whole year, I don't think, actually. I was speaking with the copy editor, and she did say that she's going to find some time, on this quarantine to try to go through and do some copy editing on them. I've come up with an idea for another one that I'm going to start at some point. Maybe after this, if I can't get back to sleep, who knows?
Brock, what are you plugging?
Well, I want to plug watching shows from your childhood. Today we watched Wishbone, holds up, still a great show. Ghost Rider does not hold up, was not very good. So if you're looking to go back and watch educational television from the 90s, I highly recommend Wishbone over Ghost Rider. And I guess I should also plug Damage Boost Podcast, new episodes every Friday. And actually, I didn't tell you about this, but in the theme of going back, I'm with Mike from the Funny Papers. We're going to go and watch the 8 episodes of the Super Mario Super Show from the early 90s. And it was far more offensive than Clerks ever was in the animated Clerks series, actually. And it's got issues, so we'll cover that.
That sounds awesome. I'm very, very jealous, because I'd love to watch it, but I know I'm never going to.
It's on Netflix, and we're quarantined.
Wasn't there a Sonic cartoon as well?
Sonic one holds
I'd
up.
rather watch
Sonic is still
I'd
good.
rather watch the Sonic one.
Yeah. And it had PSAs at the end.
Just like Clerks.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so that's it for today. I'm going to say a big thanks to everyone for listening. Hopefully this was fun for you guys. I know I had a good time recording it.
Yes, sir.
We definitely got off tangents a little bit every now and then, and I think that's okay. We're just having fun talking about cartoons.
I mean, isn't that what Clerks is all about as well, anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, saying yeah like that made my son laugh so hard he almost fell over. That's all it took.
Is that a Secret of the Ooze? Yeah? When he's pretending to be
Yes,
the clown?
it is.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah,
That
I know
is
my things.
Exactly what I'm referencing.